If you're wondering whether a full-size drill press belongs in your home garage or if it's a luxury you can live without, ask yourself this: do you need the precision and power to tackle metal work on a regular basis, or would a benchtop cordless drill be enough for most of your weekend projects? In other words, who is this actually good for, who should skip it, and is it worth the price for normal everyday buyers? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first started looking at the Baileigh 16-inch variable speed drill press, the biggest thing that kept me from hitting add to cart was the fear of overpaying for a machine that would sit idle most of the year. A 2 HP, 220V unit isn't exactly portable, and a lot of hobbyists have the same hesitation. Will I really use the full range of speeds from 150 to 3000 revolutions per minute, or will I just end up plugging it in for the occasional shelf drilling job? That's the exact question I tried to answer by digging through forum posts, reading a handful of YouTube unboxings, and watching a couple of woodshop build-alongs where the drill press actually showed up in the workflow. First, let's talk about the kind of work that makes a drill press like this worth its weight. If you're a small business fabricator, a metalworking hobbyist, or even a serious woodworker who often needs to bore precise holes in metal or thick hardwood, the ability to lock the head at a consistent speed is a game changer. The inverter-driven head on the Baileigh can punch through up to a 1-inch mild steel plate, something a typical cordless drill will struggle with unless you crank the torque and hope for the best. I saw a video where a user was making stainless steel brackets for a bike frame, using the 3000 revolutions per minute setting let them get clean, burr-free holes without having to swap bits every few seconds. On the flip side, if you mainly screw together IKEA furniture, drill pilot holes in pine, or occasionally hang a picture frame, you probably don't need a machine that draws 220V from the wall. The initial cost, plus the need for a dedicated space. Remember, the base is a solid cast iron slab that weighs close to 200 lb, means you're committing to a workshop environment. For someone who only has a cluttered garage corner, you might end up with a beautiful piece of equipment that's more decoration than tool. What really sets the Baileigh apart from lower-priced benchtop models is the 2-gallon coolant system. When you're drilling deep into steel, heat builds up fast and can quickly blunt a bit or warp the material. The integrated coolant reservoir feeds directly onto the workpiece, keeping temperatures low enough to maintain tolerance. In a real-world scenario, I watched a metal craftsman use the coolant while drilling a series of inch holes in an inch-thick steel plate for a custom bracket. The bits stayed sharp longer, and the finished holes were free of discoloration, a clear sign the system is doing its job. If you're only drilling wood, that coolant is a nice extra, but you'll probably never tap into it, which makes the feature a bit of an overkill for the casual user. Another practical strength is the auto-reversing tap. The machine can handle a 5/8-inch CH tap capacity, which means you can run a tap without manually resetting it after each pass. For someone assembling a production run of threaded components, think 1,000 small bolts for a batch of furniture. A tap that doesn't require constant handholding saves both time and fatigue. In the videos I checked, the tap engaged smoothly, and the user reported consistent thread depth across multiple holes. Usability-wise, the Baileigh has a halogen gooseneck light that actually illuminates the work area. I've seen cheap benchtop presses where you end up straining your eyes under a flickering fluorescent strip, especially when you're dealing with dark metal shavings. With this light you can see the bit tip clearly, reduce the chance of misdriving the bit, and work a bit longer without eye strain. The safety shield around the head is another practical addition. It catches metal chips and prevents them from scattering, which is a real safety concern in a small workshop where you might not have full-size dust extraction. Now, let's talk about the drawbacks that often get lost in the glossy marketing copy. The first one is the sheer size and weight. You need a sturdy floor that can handle the load, and you'll have to leave a permanent footprint in your shop. Moving it to a different room is a two-person job at best. If your shop layout changes or you relocate, the drill press isn't going to be a portable solution. Secondly, the speed range is wide, but the lower end, 150 revolutions per minute, is geared more toward heavy-duty metal drilling. For fine woodworking you might find that you need to add a speed reduction gearbox or accept a lower torque at higher speeds. It's not a deal breaker, but it does mean you have to think about the specific types of bits you'll be using. Noise is another element that people often overlook. A 2 HP